What's up, everyone? It's Chris here. Welcome back to another Phenixx Adventures vlog. For today's adventure, I've traveled all the way up north from my home state of Kentucky to one of the largest family-owned theme parks in the U.S., Crystal Gardens. Now, I've been to this park in quite a few years now, so it's good to be back to see what's been happening around the park and to see what's new here for amusement park fans in 2024. I've actually heard there might be some big news on the horizon for a brand new attraction coming to the park, and that a little bit of construction's been happening here in the last week. But that's not all. Rumor is that the owners are looking to expand, and that construction on a brand new Crystal Park could be starting as soon as this fall. With all the news and rumors coming out of the park, I thought it'd be a great time to visit again and bring you guys along with me for a quick tour around the park. Alright, we're going to start our tour of the park right here, as we should, in the Grand Entrance Plaza to the park. And when I say grand entrance, I mean just look at this. This is absolutely stunningly beautiful. Now, this was completely redesigned maybe about 20 years or so ago when the park decided it needed to update its image and just, do some renovations around the park. So what they did was they designed this entrance right here to include the park's classic carousel, which it's had probably since maybe the beginning of its journey. So if you've never actually heard of Crystal Gardens, allow me to give you a quick, brief history lesson of the park. So, it actually started its journey all the way back in the early 1900s as a small lakeside botanical gardens and trolley park. Now, throughout the years, the park has added tons of attractions to keep its visitors happy. Some of those attractions have come and gone, but a lot of them are actually still here, as Crystal Gardens prides itself on its history. One of those being the iconic Big Star Ferris wheel, a first of its kind that's still in operation to this day. There's also the park's iconic steam train ride, of which it has 2 locomotives running daily throughout the park. And of course, the classic Grand Carousel, which I mentioned earlier in the video, that was moved and renovated here to the entrance of the park. So it's the very first thing you see before you even get into the park itself. And although time and change has taken its toll upon its once glorious botanical gardens, there are still remnants throughout the park of what was once a major attraction here to visitors. Alright, so there does seem to be a crowd starting to form this morning. Let's go ahead and move on with the walk through the park. For our journey around the park today, I've decided to make a trip to the right-hand side and just kind of travel around the park. As we come to the very first intersection we have right here after entering the park, we've got the main locker rental building over here on the right-hand side. Over here to the left, we have the park's newest restaurant. It's a German hamburger, pretzel, and craft beer place called Joe Burgers. If you was to go straight right here underneath where the train is crossing right there, that would take you to the middle of the park right there. And as you can see, just a little bit of Leviathan back there. We also have the park's Starflower coming down right there too. Always nice to see great views in the skyline of the park. We're going to go ahead and keep going to the right though. Strolling down the path, of course, in front of us we see a brand new coaster, but I want to take a look over here to our left. As I said before, Crystal Gardens loves to pride itself on its classic rides. This is just one of those historic ones. This is a classic rollerplane ride. You don't see these in parks hardly at all anymore. As we come over here to the right-hand side, we see one of the park's brand newest coasters. This is Crazy 8s, which actually replaced the park's old family boomerang coaster that used to be here in the same spot. Crazy 8s is definitely a unique coaster. I've only ever seen one other coaster very similar to this, and that was at Playland, which is Gale Force. You can tell it's very much based upon that ride. So the way this coaster works is first you'll launch forward, then you'll get a backwards launch up to a certain point. Well, then it will actually launch you back forward again and then complete its loop. One thing I really like about this coaster is its unique theming to like play cards and stuff. I don't really understand it, but I do like it. As we move along the path, we come to another historic classical ride right here at the park, the old balloon race ride. Although it doesn't seem to be very popular with people, it is always a fun one. I really like these kinds of rides. Love the spinning rides like the swings or like the flying eagles, stuff like that. Always fun to me. And this is just one of those rides that's just, I love seeing it. Next up is the Crystal Grand, the biggest restaurant in the entire park. It's like a buffet kind of dine in or dine outside. They have tons of like little picnic tables and stuff out here that you can eat on, or it's got an indoor dining experience as well if you don't prefer to eat outside, or if it's raining or just a cold day or something like that. Moving on along, see lots of stuff up ahead, but let's go over here to the right hand side. We've got the park's Star Flyer right here, which is quite large. I can't remember exactly how tall this thing is. I believe it's somewhere around 250 to 300 feet or so. It's really high up there though. Again, doesn't seem to be very popular this morning, but that's okay. Over here next to the Star Flyer, we have another classic ride that you see in a lot of parks. Though it seems though anymore, these have been kind of being removed here lately, but I still love them, especially on a really hot day, like I think today's going to be. So this is Splash Water Plunge. Not the greatest name in the world, but it is a classic here in the park. It's been around for quite a while. You basically just take your little boat up to the top, it takes you around, and then as we're about to see, it drops you down for a huge splash right there. And that's going to get you soaked whether you are actually riding the ride or if you're standing on the overlook right there right above the drop. We're going to take a small side trek down through here right next to Splash Water Plunge. Look at that splash. Like I said, if you're standing on that overlook right there, you are going to get totally soaked. I'm not going up there though because it's way too early in the morning and I don't feel like squishy shoes all day. Down here at the end of this path though, underneath the Splash Water Plunge is the entrance to the park's water park, at least the entrance from inside the park. There's also an outer entrance if you're from the parking lot as well. But it is right back here behind the Crystal Grand restaurant on the backside. You can come around the way I did by the Star Flyer and by Splash Water Plunge here, or you can make a shortcut right there along that path, or over here on this side of the restaurant as well. However you want to, you can get back here, and this is the entrance to the currently closed water park right now. It's not quite summer when I was filming this, but should be open within another few days or so. I was kind of hoping it would be, just so I could go in and film. I'm not a fan of water parks myself, but yeah, I really wanted to kind of go in there and at least show you guys around, but I missed it by a few days. It doesn't open until like next week, I think. All right, so we're going to come right back up here next to Splash Water Plunge, and behind the Star Flyer here, you can see the Cyclone right there getting ready to drop down. That is a great, fun little family RMC coaster right there. But if we come along this way, this is where it kind of starts to get interesting in the park. Right here, this used to be the old Chicago style Italian restaurant. Looks like they're changing that up. Things are changing right there. Don't know what they're adding in. We're going to find out soon though. I believe there's going to be an announcement very soon for that. Yeah, they could be tearing the entire building down, but I think it's just going to become a new restaurant right here. Moving on from the old Chicago style restaurant right there, we have the park's classic Aero Shuttle Loop coaster. This thing has been here for so long. I believe it was built in like the 70s, and it was one of the very first of its kind here. And yeah, it's been standing but not operating for quite a bit of time, but it is just a beautiful sight to see. Looks like there's some construction going on here. Part of the track is definitely torn out right there, and let's see if I can get a shot of it right over here as well. So there's something definitely going on here with this plot of land. Although I will hate to see this old classic kind of be removed. Like I said, it's been standing but not operating for a while, and I'm very excited to see what the park is going to do with this plot of land. Love to hear what you guys think is going to be happening here in the comments of the video down below. Moving on along down through here, underneath of the station for Flashback is the park's Midway games down through here. You can see there's the entrance for Flashback in the middle of all these. It is currently closed. Obviously, you don't want to ride that with no track. Right over here behind me is a classic Roundup ride. Like I said, Crystal Gardens loves its old rides. This one has always been a favorite of mine too, ever since I rode the Rainbow. Or maybe it's the Magic, yeah, the Magic Rainbow at Cannon Park. Which I'm curious if they actually still have that or not. It's been a while since I've been to Cannon Park. I may want to visit there sometime soon. What I love about this ride is the theming for it, as it's themed to a roulette table, which is just really cool and a unique idea. For those with a sweet tooth, we have Just Sweets Bakery right here. If you're in the mood for cinnamon bread or maybe some hand-dipped ice cream or anything like that, this is the place for you. They also have candy apples in there, but honestly, if you want candy apples, I prefer Granny Smith's, which is right up front to the left as soon as you get into the park. To the right-hand side is the park's amphitheater for its shows. Looks like we got some practicing going on there, but it doesn't look like they're really feeling it down there. Next up, another classic ride here at the park. This is its Tilt-A-Whirl and themed to like a pool table kind of idea called the Hustler. Love this ride. I always have really enjoyed Tilt-A-Whirls, whether it be fairgrounds or at parks. Right up here is the Cinnabons stand, and then right next to that, also the amphitheater here. If we walk in between there, we're going to enter the plaza for Octane. This is the park's newest coaster right here. Octane is manufactured by Intamin and has a very unique ride element right there, where the two cars will meet on the track and then launch together at the same time like they're racing, almost like a drag race. One of them will continue on through the course, and the other one will continue its way up the top hat, which I can't remember the height of it. But Octane is amazing. I had the luxury of riding this on media day, and oh my god, it was so it's so good. Like, if you ever get down here to Crystal Gardens, highly recommend this. It's just such a cool ride. Riders will actually exit out right here, where you can pick up your on-ride photo right next to an old restaurant. Looks like it's closed right now at the moment, but it's themed to like an old 50s style diner. So you can usually grab like milkshakes, burgers, fries, all that kind of stuff right here. Exiting the Octane station down through here, next to Cinnabons and Hustler, we're going to come to the park's small family little coaster right here. Great fun for the kiddies. It's Wacky Willie. Wacky Willie is one of those old Zero Caterpillar coasters for like the kids. It's definitely got a unique layout. It's not one of their off-the-shelf models, but it's nothing's really special, and you know, I guess it's a fun kiddie credit if you're looking for that kind of thing. It is one of the very few coasters in the park that the entire family can actually enjoy. Now, right in front of Wacky Willie over here, if you're looking for some good old home-style cooked food, you got Maite's Kitchen. Definitely one of the best places to eat in the park if you're just looking for that good old-fashioned comfort food like roast beef, cornbread, things like that. You've got a Cosmic Cow ice cream and milkshake stand right here. And this is another new ride that's just been recently added to the park. Wasn't here the last time I was visiting the park, but it's a simple paratrooper, one of my all-time favorite rides. I love the paratroopers so much. Like, I honestly can't explain how much I love these rides. They're just so fun to me. These are the kind of classic rides that I grew up on. This one is called Wildflower, and it seems to be themed to, well, flowers for some reason. I don't know why, but it is an absolutely beautiful ride. You know, it's good to see one of these paratrooper rides here at the park. You don't really see these very often anymore, and it's nice to see that Crystal Gardens is adding in old classic rides, as well as preserving the ones they already have. I believe they bought this ride from a traveling fair, and then they've just completely remodeled the entire thing on it, recrafted parts, and just breathed new life into it. Traveling on down the path, we come to Ripcord, which is an old parachute ride. This is another ride that you just don't see hardly anymore in parks at all. Looks like it is closed right now at the moment, but maybe it'll be open a little bit later today. Over here to the left is Food and Stuff. This is your, you know, if you're just looking for some lemonade, a cola, or, you know, maybe you just want to grab a hot dog or something, Food and Stuff is the place to go. Right here in front of Food and Stuff and next to Ripcord, though, is the main attraction in this section. This is Sky Rush, the park's one-of-a-kind invert from B&M. Let's go in here and take a look at this guy. The queue line for the ride will take you into a old hangar here where you get to see a classic World War II fighter plane hanging from the ceiling in there. Kind of like a little aviation museum right here. I believe the theming for this ride is that it's like an air show where, you know, you go and see, like, say the Blue Eagles or something like that, where they have the old classic airplanes performing in the skies above you, and you're one of those pilots, in the show. I also absolutely love the old fighter plane right there on the roof of the building right there. Gotta love that. If you're a fan of wings or pizza, you can grab them right here at Wings Pizza. All right, we're going to come up the path here from Sky Rush, and right here is another one of the park's classic steam train locomotive stations right here. You can ride the train all around the park, and there's a couple of different stations that you can get off at or continue on along the track. Now we're going to continue up the path. As we come to this intersection right here, we can go to the right, which will take us on around the rest of the park, or to the left right here, which is going to take us back over there to Sky Rush. We're going to go that direction for just a moment. But right here in front of us is the old Huss Top Spin ride, Insanity. It's actually running. People are still enjoying it. Don't really see that a lot in parks these days. We're going to go to the left right here, past the bathrooms, and we're going to check out Cyclone, the park's only RMC coaster. Now, it's not a big, huge, exciting coaster like, say, Arngwazi. I'm sorry, I got stopped right there because I love watching it go over top of the ride right here, over top of Fireball, as it then enters into this cyclone bow, they call it, and then spins around through there. It actually goes through this twice. It's going to come back here in just a moment and then enter into it again before it gets back into the station. There it goes. It's a lot of fun for, packing such a small punch into just such a small family RMC coaster. One of the coolest unique elements though of Cyclone is right here where it has the airtime hill over top of the park's Larson Looper Fireball. Now, here's a question that I gotta ask all the theme park enthusiasts out there. Are the Larson Loopers coasters or are they flat rides? I want to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Here we are in the plaza for Cyclone right here, right underneath of the Starflyer ride as it's coming back down here. Just gave a few riders a ride, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. It does look pretty empty, but still. And it's kind of right back where we sort of started over here. But let's head back up to where we came out at the Sky Rush and Insanity now. All right, we're going to cross the train tracks right here, and then we're going to enter it where the big arcade is of the park. And one thing about this arcade that I absolutely love, you know what? Let's take a trip in here real quick. They have such classic machines in here. You've got classics like Mortal Kombat, Space Invaders, Contra. You got Whack-A-Mole right over there. If you're a pinball fan, check these out. AC/DC, Guardians of the Galaxy, Walking Dead. They got the old Rollercoaster Tycoon pinball machine in here. How cool is that? Dragon's Lair. We've got the old 60s Batman series, Tron, Ghostbusters. There's an Aerosmith pinball machine. Yeah, I love that one. Asteroids, 1943, Donkey Kong. They got so many classic arcade machines in here, and they take such great care of these guys too. Exiting out of the arcade, you get a great view of almost the entire layout of Sky Rush. And let me see if I'm going to try to wait here for a coaster to go up the lift hill. And let's see if we can watch the ride. All right, I see a train approaching the top of the lift hill here, and it is about to drop, and there she goes. I love how this ride is just kind of nestled back in the woods, but right here from this overlook, you can see almost all of it. Sky Rush is probably the best inverted coaster that I have ever ridden. Like, honestly. I mean, Alpengeist is great. Banshee is great, but they just don't compare to Sky Rush. If you're looking for souvenirs, right here next to the arcade is the park's Emporium. You can also grab most anything that's here in the Emporium, also on the way out at the gift shops towards the exit of the park. Yet another unique historic attraction right here are these classic slides right here that you can kind of go up and into and then just kind of slide down through it. These date pretty far back into amusement park history. Here's the park's Huss Frisbee ride. This is a head spin. Your typical Huss Frisbee no big thing here. Then we have over here, this is Speed Force, the park's hyper coaster. It's a Chance Morgan. Most people think, oh, that's an Aero coaster. Nope, it's actually a Chance Morgan coaster. Don't see these very often. I think the closest would probably be maybe something along the lines like Steel Force at like Dorney Park. I think would be something similar to this one. Speed Force was built in the mid-90s, and you can definitely tell. It's got that 90s nostalgia architectural feel to it right here with the station and the neon and all that. Does look absolutely beautiful at night, though. Here we have another great, fantastic historical ride here at the park that they take such great care of. This is the park's antique car ride right here. Such a beautiful little journey right down here next to a lake. Takes you under a covered bridge right there. This is just nostalgia right here. As we continue on down here past the antique cars, you've got the classic scrambler over here to the right hand side. I always love a good scrambler. Those are always fun. Just love riding those when I can. And wow, look at the line for these antique cars. Like, you can tell people really love that. And that's because, like I said before, the park takes such great care of these old rides. They really do. Over here we have another train station right here. Oh, you can see Speed Force going by right there with its little bunny hops right there. And then look at this old classic train station right here. Isn't this absolutely beautiful? I just love the architecture in this park. And you know, that's one thing I love about amusement parks. It's not just the rides, but just seeing how everything is themed and the architectural designs and stuff that is used in some parks is just, I love it. I really do. Then you have a wave swinger right here. Doesn't look like anybody's riding that one today. They could just be testing it. Love the colors of this one, though. This reminds me of the one at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, I think. Colors are very similar to that. All right, now we're coming down here to sort of the spooky section of the park, one could say. This area is themed very much to ghosts and goblins, because this is a huge, major attraction for the park right down here as we make our way down here. This right here, guys, this is Raven Manor, the only dark ride that I feel could give Disney a run for its money. This haunted house is fantastic. It's got a great story to it. The ride is great. The animatronics are just fantastic. I've got a POV, like on-ride video. If you guys are interested in that, I'll put a link here in the video up top. You should see it in the top right corner right about now. I'll definitely be back to ride this probably a couple of times after I get done filming. But let's move along with our video. Let's head down this way. We got to check out the coaster in this area of the park. This is Wraith, an Intamin Megalite coaster. It's also the only one to ever be built here in the United States. All the other ones are over in like Asian countries or Europe, and this is the only one that they've ever brought over here to the States. Such a fantastic ride too. I would love to see like this, maybe Kings Island. This could totally replace, say, that horrible, absolutely horrible coaster that is Stunt Coaster at Kings Island. The only ride I've ever seen that's themed with the storage containers that it was actually shipped over to the park with. All right, now we're going to travel through the floral tunnel right here behind Raven Manor, and this is going to take us over towards the western themed section of the park right here. There is one more ride over here. We've got our teacups right here, also situated right behind Raven Manor right there. I'm gonna come over here to the exit so you can kind of see what the ride looks like. It is just your typical teacups ride, but it does have kind of a little bit of a Victorian Gothic kind of feel to it with the colors. All right, now we come to what may be my favorite area in the park, home to many of my favorite attractions here. First of all, over here on the right-hand side, we have Barnstormer. Don't see a lot of these in too many parks, though they are starting to become a little more popular these days. Then we have Renegade, the park's wooden coaster. The wildest coaster in the park, you could say. This guy right here, so much fun. Highly recommend this one. I think I've got a POV on the channel somewhere. We'll try to put a link down below in the video description if you guys are interested in seeing that. To the left over here, we've got the park's drop tower. This is Hangman's Drop. After getting off Barnstormer, if your tummy's maybe growling a little bit, don't worry, you can always stop right here at Wagon Wheel Pizza. In my opinion, it's the best pizza you can get in the entire park right here. Next up is Primeval, park's Eurofighter, and this is such a crazy ride. Obviously not as crazy as the Smiler, which I've never gotten over to Europe to try out the Smiler. Don't know if you know what, I probably would ride it, to be honest. I'd probably face my fears and ride that thing, but this one is a great ride. It's definitely better than Mystery Mine. You know, although Mystery Mine has a ton of theming to it, I think this one is just a whole lot more fun. Across from Primeval is Geyser Falls, the park's river rapids ride, which I gotta say is extremely well done. Like, the theming on this, again, could rival Disney, honestly. I'm gonna move a little bit further down here the path just to get you guys a much better view of it from an overlook down here. If you're looking for some kettle corn though, right there we go, as well as Cokes and floats, or maybe you want a Coke float, or maybe a root beer float. You can get all of that right here. Here we have the station and queue line for Primeval right here, which is themed to, I guess, kind of one of my understanding of the ride is, the story is the wild is taking back, like, the land, I guess. Very similar to kind of like Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, except it's not a GCI, it is a Eurofighter, so yeah. It's always kind of bugged me though how this ride doesn't really fit the whole Western feel over here, but I guess it works. Moving on along, we've got the Troika, which is themed to like a rodeo show. This is the Rodeo Wheel. Only one of these guys I've ever ridden is the Shake, Rattle, and Roll at Kings Island, but man, they are so much fun. And as promised, here we have probably the best view in the park of Geyser Falls. This is absolutely gorgeous right here. This is what I'm talking about with the theming of this ride. Like I said, how it could maybe rival Disney in some areas. Like, they did such a good job on this ride. There's one right there on the bridge, and then you kind of, once you go across over there, you go around. Then you got the drop right here, which drops you down for the final splash before you go into the tunnel. That's going to take you back into the rotating station. Feeling a little spicy? You can always stop right here at Red's Barbecue, the best barbecue in the park. Oh man, this stuff is delicious. You can get pulled pork right here. You can get barbecue turkey sandwiches, and the brisket, like you can see right here, they're actually cooking it, as you can watch right here over top of the fire. Oh, it's so good. Like, I don't know what they have in the barbecue sauce here, but man, is this stuff good. For theme park food, some of the best. Over here behind the Rodeo Wheel is another train station here, which you can get dropped off at the western theme of the park. Like I said, there's multiple stations throughout the park, so you can always just grab on the train, take you a ride around, and then get off wherever you please here. Another ride perfectly situated over here in the park's western themed area is the only log flume in the entire park. It's small, but it's really well themed, really well done, especially for being as old as it is. I think this one was built around maybe close to the 80s or 70s. I believe this one here was built in like the late 70s, but it was such a great addition to the park, and still to this day is a great way to cool off on a hot summer day. And as we cross the tracks here once again, we are exiting the western themed area into, well, really this area doesn't really have any kind of major theme. It's just more rides and stuff like that. But right here next to us is the Funnel Cake Factory. If you're in the mood for funnel cake, this is the place for funnel cake. They have all kinds of funnel cakes with any kind of topping you can think of. You can get it right here. Now, we didn't get a chance to go over that direction, but right there, that is Revolution, the park's Arrow corkscrew looper that they have. It's been here maybe since the early 80s, I think, is when it was built. Can't remember the exact date, but yeah, really fun ride, though. You know, it's your old classic Arrow coaster, so it's a bit of a rough one. Looking for something that maybe might not break your neck? Well, you can always take a ride on Wild Spin. This is a classic Gerstlauer spinning coaster, and kind of fun for the whole family, as long as you know, nobody gets motion sickness that much. Now, if games of skill are more your thing, this is the area of the park that you want to come to. They've got everything you can think of right here, from basket toss and skee balls, the water blasting games, everything right here in this main midway right here, right next to Big Top Treats, where you can grab, you know, this is good food for the entire family right here if you're just looking for maybe a quick snack. ice cream, hot dogs, fries, burgers, things like that. Your main carnival kinds of food certainly can be grabbed right here at Big Top Treats. Now, right across from Big Top Treats is the Music Express, your classic Himalaya type, Music Express ride, really. I mean, they didn't really go wild with the name on this one. It's just another fun, classic spinny ride that I always adore. All right, now we're starting to get a little closer back up to the front of the park here. This is one you can see from the parking lot. An amazingly, such well-themed ride right here for an S&S Scream and Swing. This is the Flying Trapeze. They fly through the air with the greatest of ease. From there, we are going to take a trip underneath of Wildcat. This is the park's oldest coaster that they have. Wildcat is situated perfectly right up in front of the park right here, right next to another classic ride right here, the Spider, or in this case, the Monster. Let's watch this one here. I love watching this coaster go. Oh, it's such a fun ride. This is your classic wooden, like out and back twister coaster right here. And you can tell it was built a long time ago. Look at the architecture here of the station. Wildcats was, I think it was built around 1973, I believe is when they added this coaster in here. It's the oldest coaster in the entire park. Situated right across from the Wildcat station is, of course, the classic bumping cars. Yeah, Demolition Derby. Everybody loves these. Oh, okay, well, maybe not everybody, but they're a lot of fun, especially when I was younger. I don't know, I may kind of hurt myself on these things now. And then now that's going to bring us right back to the front of the park where we started at. But last but not least, right over here to the left-hand side is Granny Smith's. Remember earlier when I said this is the best place to get your candy apples? I don't know what it is, but the caramel that they have in here and the actual Granny Smith apples that they use, oh, it's just such a great mix. It really, really is. They also have handmade ice cream in here, and they have like a caramel apple ice cream, which I cannot recommend enough. You gotta try it. Alrighty guys, that's going to do it for our walkthrough and tour here of Crystal Gardens. So, we did get a chance to actually take a look at the construction that was going on over there where Flashback is. Like I said, rumors are something big is going to be coming to that area for the 2025. I can't wait to come back here and ride whatever it's going to be. Don't really know what it's going to be yet. Nobody has gotten any kind of plans or anything like that. We just know it's going to be something kind of large to take the place of Flashback. What do you guys think it's going to be? Let me know in the comments down below. In the meantime, that's going to be it for today's adventure here at Crystal Gardens. Wherever you guys are in the world, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and I will see you in the next video.